Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe show. I'm Joe. That's Jeremy. I have had one Leinenkugel and a shot of tequila. Jeremy has had something.
Summer Shandy.
Oh, okay. So it was a Leinenkugel as well. It's a very long name. We don't drink, so this is we are not drunk. But tell us in the comments below. Do you want a drunk Cup of Joe show? Let us know. We'll definitely know if people actually watch the show after that. They'll be like, yeah, do it drunk. But anyway, yeah, we'll probably never do that. But you know what? Let's see some comments, whatever. Anyway, we did not see a movie again this week. So we're gonna talk about this story, this demise of the franchise of the Fantastic Four. We're going to delve into it a little bit, what we think about it, where we think the franchise should go. We're going to do that instead of reviewing a film. So, right now, you all may know that Fantastic Four did not get good reviews. It is doing horrible at the box office. It's going to lose Fox a lot of money. There have been just rumors about the director just having parties and showing up drunk. There's also been rumors that the studio stepped in and just wrecked the movie, took out 3 action set pieces in the film and just took them out completely, which I actually, I lean toward that story. I mean, they both could be true. I don't know, but it just seems like when you look at a movie like Chronicle, maybe I'll let you talk about that. But no, all right, we'll get to Chronicle. I'll let him talk about Chronicle. But when you're looking at this film, it was an absolute disaster, and it's getting panned all over the place. But when you're looking at a director, Josh Trank, and if you're looking for places to blame, I think the studio has a lot of the blame, because I don't think they let Josh Trank have control of this film. I mean, Jeremy, coming to it from a fan of Josh Trank, I assume, since you really liked Chronicle, I mean, did you see his vision on this film?
I can't say that I did. As you said, I am a fan of Chronicle. I think it was a very well done movie, especially considering its low budget and everything. And if you compare, Chronicle to Fantastic Four, other than the presence of Michael B. Jordan in both, there really aren't that many similarities. Whereas Chronicle, it seemed to have some genuine, heart and emotion and everything. Fantastic Four is just completely lifeless. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it's because Trank's heart just wasn't in it, and, then that's on him. Maybe it was, executive meddling at the top that, they didn't allow him to make the picture that he wanted to, because I believe that he wanted to do, in the early production, he said he wanted to do something more along the lines of like The Fly, like a horrific kind of thing. Have some horror elements where, when they get their powers, it's like it's scary and they have a hard time adjusting to it. And there's 30 seconds of that in the movie, after they get their powers, but then it never goes anywhere with that, and it just flash forwards a year, and it's they all have control of their powers. So, it just seems like the movie had no cohesion, had no, logical progression to it or anything like that. There was no, as I said before, there was no heart. So I don't really think that Trank had the opportunity to make the movie that he wanted, whether that's because he just wasn't, sold on it from the start, or whether it was, the studio's fault. I don't know, but I think that somewhere along the line we could have had at least a decent Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that confuses me, and you brought it up, is that he wanted to make that kind of movie, and Fox agreed to it.
Mm-hmm.
They let him make the film. So, if that's not the direction Fox wanted to go, why did they hire him? That's really the confusing part. Because that's an interesting story, and I think we could have had a half decent movie if they just let Trank do what he wanted to do. You got Simon Kinberg too, who wrote it, but it really didn't seem like a Simon Kinberg script because the writing was awful. So I'm confused as to what happened there. I think he wrote X-Men: Days of Future Past as well, and other good stuff. But so I'm confused as far as the writing. But yeah, if you're gonna hire a director and you sit down and you agree to do something, and then you just rip it apart, I just don't understand that. I wish they just let him do his thing, or hired someone else. I mean, it's really confusing. But ultimately, this is a disaster. I don't remember anything as bad as this. I mean, could you think of anything as that's just been such a disaster as to this? To the point where like stories are coming out after it, and like there have been disasters. But
I mean, there have been, commercial failures and just total critical disasters as far as superhero movies go. We've had things like the Green Lantern. Nobody liked that, but I mean that made like 115.
Made money,
yeah. So I mean it wasn't that bad. And I mean Green Lantern is a better movie than Fantastic Four. Green Lantern
Yes.
at least has entertaining parts, and it has Ryan Reynolds, who actually seemed to care about the role at least somewhat. So he puts energy into it,
Yeah.
which is something at least. And where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought. We also had things like Ghost Rider, especially the second one that didn't do well critically or commercially. So I mean,
They
things like,
made a sequel to Ghost Rider, for heaven's
well, I mean,
sake.
the first one did pretty well,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's not completely unprecedented for, a comic book movie to not do that well. But what's unprecedented is for something of this scale. The Fantastic Four are popular, seminal, long-running characters. Like, they were pretty much like the first big Marvel characters. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the comments, but I'm pretty sure they predate Spider-Man as far as Marvel goes. I'm pretty sure they were like the first big thing, and they're, the Fantastic Four is Stan Lee's baby. He wrote them and everything. He really got started with them, so it's like they deserve better than this. And this is now 4 attempts at a Fantastic Four movie, including the one in the 90s that never even got released in theaters. So at this point, it's like, is it even possible to get this right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you might just have to let things die at this point. I don't know if they want to, just go ahead and let the rights revert to Marvel, cut a deal like Sony did with Spider-Man. What I would do if I were, in charge at Fox is I would just completely disregard this Fantastic Four movie, pretend it never existed, and those versions of the characters never existed, and just bring them into the X-Men universe with completely different actors as completely different characters, and just, because they made this movie basically so they could hold on to the rights for a few more years. So just, go with X-Men, which has been a hell of a lot more successful. Days of Future Past was great, did really well at the box office. So, I mean, if they want to retain Fantastic Four, I think a shared universe is pretty much their only option at this point.
Yeah.
But then again, even if they hold on to it, they've proven that they can't make good Fantastic Four movies. So even if they make another one, it's not going to make anything at the box office. This Fantastic Four, at most, is going to make $200 million worldwide if it's lucky. So it will probably make a lot less than that. So it's going to be a huge loss, as would any future Fantastic Four movies. So
there's no faith. There's no reason for us to go. I mean, even if the next Fantastic Four movie ends up being spectacular, it's not going to make any money.
yeah,
I think that, I don't know the direction. I think it's just funny that like they're supposed to share a universe with X-Men, and now like probably like, no. So yeah, it's weird. I think you're right. I don't think the studio can make another one. I mean, this is going to lose them like 60, 70, 80 million dollars. That
Yeah.
like that's a lot of money. I know studios make a lot of money, but that is a huge loss. Think about if you went into your job and like you opened your cash register that should have $80 million in it, and there was nothing there. You'd be fired. You'd be fired. You'd be gone. So, I think that what I would like to see, I'd like to see it go to another studio, whether it's Marvel, whether it's, whatever. Like, if it goes back to Marvel, though, I don't want to see the Fantastic Four in with everyone. It's just so many people. I would just, if it goes back to Marvel, I would love to see it just be the Fantastic Four. They can go out by themselves. Marvel will do it right. The audiences will be restored. Maybe not so much, but they'll be like, okay, Marvel has it. We trust in Marvel. And I think that it could at least get the footing there. It'll make a little bit of money. The movie will be good. They'll put the time into it. They'll do the right thing. They'll get the right tone. They'll get the right director. They'll make a solid film that we'll go see. Kind of similar to Ant-Man. I mean, Ant-Man's not making gangbusters, but like it's doing fine. It's a solid film. He's gonna be a great addition to definitely for future films to come. I feel like if Marvel, that would be best. Give Fantastic Four back to Marvel, and I think that they are the only ones that could take it up to actually making money again and making the first quality Fantastic Four film that there has ever been. So, man. But if you're ever bored, just watch Fantastic Four reviews. It's the funniest thing like you've ever seen. But other than that, let us know what you think. Marvel. Jeez, I'm trying to throw things on you. Send it to Marvel. No. What should Fox do with the Fantastic Four? What did you think of the Fantastic Four? If you saw it, I hope you didn't. But yeah, let us know what you think. All right. Other than that, we're gonna move past the Fantastic Four. Unless more stories come up in weeks to come, we'll see. But yeah, let's talk box office. Jeremy, take it away.
Well, on a funny note, if you haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, chances are you won't be able to anymore because it's totally bleeding theaters starting this weekend. It's losing like 1,500 theaters this weekend, so you'd probably have to go to a bigger area than Scranton to go see it. So, yeah, disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, last weekend, let's see here. At number 5, we had The Gift. And that fell 45% to $6.5 million, giving it a total of $23.6 million. That's not bad.
It's really good for The Gift.
Yeah, it's not bad. Budget's only $5 million.
Yeah.
So, again, that's another case for keeping your budgets under control, studios.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. And number 4, fittingly enough, was Fantastic Four. And that fell 68% to $8.2 million. That gives it a total of $42.1 million. I think we spent enough time there on Fantastic Four, so there's not much to say, much else to say other than it's just absolutely awful.
It's clobbering time. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, 68% is an awful drop, especially considering how low it opened. Like, if you open to, the 200 million range, like the Avengers movies, you might be forgiven for falling 65%, and even those didn't fall that much.
Yeah.
So, it's just bad.
It's a mess.
Indeed. Number 3 was The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and that opened to the $13.4 million. And, I like Armie Hammer, but I just don't think he's ever gonna become a leading man in Hollywood. Between this and the Lone Ranger and everything, it just doesn't seem to be working out for him. I also like Henry Cavill, at least as Superman, but I don't know if he's ever going to really have success outside that role. But, I don't know.
It wasn't the right time for this movie to come out, and it's about a TV show that was played in the 60s. The non-movie-going audience, so there you go.
Yeah. Number 2 was Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. That fell 40% to $17.2 million, Total of 138.2 or 3. So as you can see, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. had to compete with a fellow spy movie, and that's kind of hard to do, especially when Mission Impossible is a much better known franchise and all that good stuff. And it's also better reviewed, and audiences seem to like it better. So Rogue Nation is doing pretty well for itself. It's I still don't think it's going to get to 200. It could probably get to about 170, 180, which is still really good and should do well overseas. Our number 1 film was Straight Outta Compton, and that opened to $60.2 million. Now, coming into this weekend, I had seen predictions for Straight Outta Compton that were in like the 50 million range, and I just thought those people were absolutely out of their minds. I thought it was going to do more like 30, but it turns out I was the one that was out of my mind. This movie kind of blew up, and I'm quite impressed by that opening. I really absolutely never thought it would open that high. It doesn't really have any competition throughout August, so it could have a good run ahead of it. It has really good reviews, actually. I think it will, there was some rush to go out and see it on the opening weekend, so we'll have to see what the legs are like. It does seem to be trending toward like 25 to 28-ish for its second weekend, which isn't that bad of a drop. So, Straight Outta Compton could be quite the late summer hit, actually.
Yeah, Straight Outta Compton, brilliant marketing campaign. The memes with Straight Outta blank, really funny, and it's just, it went everywhere on social media, so, I mean, that marketing campaign's great, great reviews, and Universal is killing it this year. They're killing it. Straight Outta Compton, Jurassic World, Minions. Fast, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Fury 7.
Yep, Fury 7. Wow.
It's August, and they've already set the record for highest grossing year ever
Yeah.
by a studio.
Yes, exactly. Which was just passed last year by Fox, by Fantastic Four Fox. What is going on? All right. So, yeah, that's the box office. Well done, Jeremy. Well done.
Thanks, bro.
We're going to move on to what's coming out this weekend, and there's really not much to speak of, honestly. There's 3 films, all poorly reviewed. So we got Hitman Agent 47. I honestly, I don't know how they mess up these films. I really don't. I don't think it's... You get a film like John Wick, and I think these are the guys who did John Wick, and apparently they messed up this film. I don't understand how... Like, it should be simple. It should be a simple, fun film to make. It doesn't have to be like Academy Award winning. It just has to be simple and fun. And I don't know how you mess up a film like Hitman, and they've done it twice.
Should have just made John Wick 2. Although they are
making John Wick 2. Right. So there you go.
So what's next? Sinister 2. I never saw the first Sinister. This is totally one of those completely unnecessary sequels. I mean, the first one did all right. Sinister 2 probably cost like $5 million to make, especially considering they didn't even have to pay Ethan Hawke's paycheck around this time. So it'll probably still turn a profit, but it's really not gonna turn heads.
Isn't that like 4% Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Sinister 2. I think the guy looks like one of the people from Slipknot, though. I think that's kind of funny. I don't think I'd be scared of that movie, actually, because of that. Other movie that's coming out is American Ultra, starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart. They're returning from Adventureland, that mediocre film Adventureland, to pair up again with Topher Grace. I just don't want to see this movie at all. I have no interest in this movie whatsoever.
It actually has a somewhat respectable rating in the 40s.
Yes.
At Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think it looks that great either. The concept just seems really weird, and
yeah,
I don't know.
And they both look so dirty. That bothers me.
They're stoners.
That's the point. But there are stoner movies where people don't look just straight up gross. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's. I don't know.
I don't expect any of the openers this weekend to open over 10 million. That's how bad it's going to be.
So Straight Outta Compton takes another weekend?
Oh, easily.
Gotcha. Well, you've heard it here, folks. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Cup of Joe show. We'll see you again next week.